disaster must come. At best, only postponed. Shaolin Kung Fu, to survive, must now be taught to more young men.
All right, welcome to another edition of Fists, Kicks, and Flicks. I'm one of your hosts, Eugene Plowden, and with me, as always, is my other partner, Mike Gibbs. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. So we're gonna talk about Bloodsport today. How do you feel about Bloodsport?
Well, I had wanted to do the review after we spoke last time because, I really enjoyed it as a youth. But after I watched it, you were right. Highly
but
disappointed.
but you know what? I mean, this movie made Fearless Tiger look like uh I mean, this was a lot better than Fearless Tiger.
Oh yeah.
Because when I saw this movie a couple of months ago, I thought it was kind of bad. Because of I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of '80s movies. Every now and then, I'll watch something like Back to the Future or Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And this movie was made in the '80s also, but it doesn't seem like it kept up with like some of the other movies did.
Right.
As far as production and editing, I don't know what's the deal with some of these martial arts movies and the way that they were produced and the acting too. Oh my goodness.
I think I was thinking about the same thing, and I think it's very comparable to, if you look at like a sport karate tournament and an MMA fight. So the budget is obviously going to be higher in the 80s for a Back to the Future type film as
Right.
opposed to a martial arts film. They're looking at audiences and the audience that's going to go pay and go see the movie. And I doubt the budget was there in the 80s for a martial arts film as opposed to, when they read the plot and things like that. I don't even know how it works. I'm just kind of
Mm-hmm.
speculating. That's probably why the production don't have as much vested into it. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they most definitely needed to find, well, I mean, better editors or yeah, even the way that the script was going, just the way that the movie flowed, it just didn't flow like how I'm used to, watching a movie.
right. Yeah,
You know, one of the things that really stuck out to me, I don't even think that he's even going to remember this, but James Garnett, when we were kids, uh, he introduced me to Bloodsport, and we were going to a tournament. Um, I don't know, it was either Four Seasons or Lots of Nickels or one of them old tournaments that we used to go to back in the day. And this had to been like maybe my third or fourth tournament, right? And you remember on the back of the flyers, you had all of the divisions. Well, this particular tournament we were going to, it did not say forms and sparring. It said kata and kumite. So when
hmm
he, as a kid, 12 years old, 13 years old, he flipped it over and said, "Oh, I'm not going to this tournament." He's like, "Don't you know what this is? This is Kumite. This is what they were doing in Bloodsport." And then instantly, I felt insecure about it because I'm like, "Oh shit, I don't want to do that either. I don't want to get knocked out or pushed in the water, nothing like that."
right.
So that's what I thought of it instantly as soon as the movie started. So let's just jump right into it, man. All right, here we go. Bloodsport, the Bloodsport review. So once again, we go back to Hong Kong. The movie starts off in Hong Kong. That must have been a thing back in the day where they always wanted to, highlight Hong Kong, not just China, but
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
hmm
And which was pretty cool was different from Fearless Tiger is they were showing the people put the arena together
Right.
as it was coming on, and also different scenes of Hong Kong. And then they started showing people training for. They were showing people, breaking ice. Bolo was breaking ice, right? He broke ice as he was getting ready.
Yeah, he was with his instructor training.
Oh, that's his real. That was his real instructor.
Well, I don't know if it's his real
Oh,
instructor,
okay.
his instructor in the movie, but it was intriguing to me that he had on a Taekwondo headband. I don't even know if he was Taekwondo.
I don't even know his style. I don't know his style at
Me
all.
either. Maybe our producer can check that out.
Okay, then they show the guy breaking boards, right? And then it instantly pissed me off. Instantly.
I
They
didn't
showed
notice. What?
they showed a black dude, a brother, hop up into a tree and chop a coconut or something.
Shit.
I instantly got pissed and I said, "What the hell is this?" Like, and through the movie, when you see him later on in the movie, he's doing monkey style. You cannot get away with that in 2020. That's not happening. You're not having a brother hop around on his hands and on his feet, pretending to be a monkey. And no, you can't. It's just certain things you can't do.
I've never seen a soft style African American.
Man, that was just
besides
ridiculous.
Willie the Bam. That besides him, Dennis John, maybe I don't know, but not competing wise, doing that drunken monkey form.
No,
I agree
man,
with you that you
man.
wouldn't get away with that in 2020.
No, not at all, not at all. So then they start showing people sparring, and then it goes to a montage, and them putting the arena together and the competitors training and sparring. And then we're introduced to Ray Jackson. Now I remember him from.
I think he was a boxer because when it cut to his scene, he was in a boxing gym.
He was right. Now I know this story is supposedly based on true events or true story, which I don't believe at all. I don't believe it at all. But do you know if Ray Jackson is a real person? Was that guy for real?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't do any research on him. I just know. I think he was in a couple other movies though, so I think he might be an actor.
Well, I know. I'm not talking about the actor that played Ray Jackson. I mean, the real life. Since this is based off a true story, I was just wondering, was there a real Ray Jackson in real life?
If you read about the true story, it's like the guy he claimed to have like a Medal of Honor or a Purple Heart or something. He got in trouble with the U.S. government. The whole thing is he said he could do the Denmark, the George Dillman touch, and you fall down and die 3 hours later stuff. So I don't know.
I hate that type of stuff, man. I really do. I was teaching. I hate to get off the subject, but I was teaching in Pontiac. I rented out space at a kickboxing gym in Pontiac a couple years ago, and I had a guy come in who told me that he was a chain belt. I said, yeah. He's like, I'm a chain belt. He was watching my class, and after the class, he came up to me and spoke, and he bowed and said, I have a chain belt. And then he was asking me if I knew how to do the quarter blood technique, and I'm like, oh my god, here we go with this.
Was he kind of like a Hispanic guy?
No. He was a black dude. And he had on a beret, and he had on, I don't know why I remember this, and he had some fatigues on. That's all I remembered. I was like, oh my god, here's some. This is what I got to deal with on a Saturday afternoon.
We could have a whole podcast about the crazy people that came into my karate school when I had a commercial school.
Out in Waterford?
Oh, yes. Right down, I was about 3 miles from your spot.
Right. Okay, back to the movie. Okay, so then Ray Jackson, I remember him from Revenge of the Nerds. And I remember that he played Ogre in that. But he really showed his range in this movie. He was a lot better than in the Revenge of the Nerds movie.
Yeah.
So somebody came up to Ray Jackson and he was telling him that he was going to compete in the Kumite, and basically you can be killed in this tournament.
And he was kind of only the weak are going to get killed.
Yeah. So that instantly, okay, so I'm like, okay, the people who created Fearless Tiger must have used this as a blueprint for their movie also, because this came out before Fearless Tiger.
Yeah. That's what I thought too.
So then we get into Frank Dukes. He's training, and a soldier walks up to him and said the colonel wants to see him. before he leaves, and the colonel hears he's going to Hong Kong. Frank tells the soldier he'll be there after he showers. This was weird to me because I really didn't understand why the government did not want him to go to, like, number one, like, if he was going on vacation or whatever, do they have, I've never been in the military, but do they have the right to tell you what you can and can't do on vacation?
I know they get leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, and they can't wear like certain dress uniforms. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as like what you can and can't do, I don't know. Maybe his position in the military didn't allow him to enter like physical contact or something. I don't know. Maybe like a Jason Williams, not supposed to be on the motorcycle in the NBA with his contract. You know, I don't know what his job details. So I don't know. Maybe something like that, but I don't know. Maybe somebody could let us know.
Yeah. That was interesting because they automatically knew he was going to Hong Kong, and they knew that he was going to compete in this tournament. So I'm like, was he running his mouth? Was he telling everybody this is what he was going to do? And if so, I mean, he was an idiot if that's true,
Right.
because he should have known that they were going to, try and put an end to it and stop him from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes into the shower, turns on all of the water, turns on all the showers, and then somehow he disappears and runs out while that soldier is waiting on him.
Mm-hmm.
And the soldier feels he's taking too long and goes in to look and sees that he's escaped. And then he runs to go tell the colonel.
Mm-hmm.
That was I don't know, man. It just seemed like that was just stupid. That whole thing right there just seemed awfully dumb.
It looked like almost like a barracks or a gymnasium shower, and I've never seen one with multiple entrances. So how did he get out?
Right. Maybe he climbed, I don't know. I would say maybe climb out a window or something, but I didn't see no windows. So then Frank leaves, but he doesn't go to Hong Kong. He goes to visit his instructor, who is sick, right? And this was so goofy. This scene was so goofy because he walks in after his instructor's wife lets him in, and he sees a sword, and then he starts reminiscing. Yeah. What did you think of the scene right here when he was reminiscing about when he was a kid?
So a couple things. We're just being honest. I think he was special.
That's what I thought too. I was like, what the hell is wrong with this kid? Like,
he was special.
I didn't understand. Like, was he moving his mouth? Like, you would hear a kid talk, but then he was just standing there. I didn't even did he open his mouth?
I felt mean just thinking it, but there was something wrong with him. But the scene goes on, and they get the idea to steal the sword. So they go to steal the sword, and Shidoshi comes out with his son. And what I thought was hilarious was Shidoshi just sent his son to the wolves, and Frank Dukes' friends just went out the window.
They went out
left him. Or he wasn't too smart to leave. I don't know what happened, right? That whole scene.
He stood there, and the kid ran up and just kicked him in the stomach.
Yeah. His dad sitting there, he roundhouse kicked him in the stomach.
All he could do was just fall down.
Are these comical to us because now we're older and we look at them, we're like, damn.
Yeah, because it's certain things like this, man. Did you notice that the kid was wearing a San Francisco Giants hat, but he had on a New York Giants jersey?
Oh, I got something better for when we get to a couple scenes. I'm gonna point something out to you.
Okay.
When I'll just jump to it right now. When they get to the schoolyard scene where he defends him, the one
I didn't understand that part either.
Oh, the one kid had on a Bailey shirt, a Bartle and James Bailey shirt.
What? I didn't see that either.
It was like 10. Bartle and James.
I guess wardrobe was like, we got to do whatever. Maybe there was a sponsor. Maybe that's what was going on. Maybe there was a sponsor or something. Somebody had to finance this movie. Okay, so
today we're being brought to you by Crown Royal.
You drinking Crown Royal? I'm drinking some wine.
All right.
And look, I'm drinking. Yeah, for those you can't see, I have a solo cup. I'm drinking red wine out of a solo cup.
And I'm out of the bottle.
All right, here we go.
Oh, let's get back.
Okay. So then the instructor, what was his name? Katana, right? That was his last name, Katana, right?
Shidoshi Katana.
Okay, so Katana tells him that you can't steal a katana, you have to earn it, right?
Or you can buy it at the flea market in Pontiac.
Right. So Frank says he wasn't going to steal it. And then all of a sudden, Takana, that was his name, Takana, he took the sword and he just swipes at Frank's brim and just cuts the brim of his hat off.
Mm-hmm.
Frank didn't flinch. So that impressed the instructor.
Because Frank was special.
Shit.
So
the next scene, we see the instructor goes to Frank's parents and tells them that he wants Frank to train with him. I don't know I don't know, man. The acting was just really, really horrible between all parties.
There. And the one thing I took from that though is he didn't say wine, but he kept saying like the vineyard and vines. So I think Frank's dad came to America to have a vineyard and a wine company. That's what I took out of that conversation.
Okay. Did you notice that they didn't call it martial arts either? They called it martial science, which I found that to be interesting too, because I never heard that term before.
I'm gonna Google it.
Okay, so Frank got surprised just like we did because his training was pretty much him being a tackle dummy for the kid because he was just getting beat up and thrown around and just used to be hit and kicked. It looked like, and Frank gets frustrated by this.
He didn't want to be the Uki.
So then the next scene, mind you, all of this is still a flashback. Frank is literally standing in the living room, looking at that katana while all of this is going on in his head. And then this is the scene that you were talking about, which I didn't understand because, so Frank technically was a punching dummy for the kid, for his instructor's son, right?
Mm-hmm.
The instructor's son is getting beat up at school. But Frank is able to come beat up the kids who's beaten up. I didn't get that. Like the kid should have handled them.
He was a little bit bigger.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was bigger.
He was a little bit bigger, and I don't know. Look how good Calvin got from being beat up by your uncle. I don't know, man. Maybe he just learned something from the butt whoopings.
I guess, man. Okay. So, now I didn't understand this also. So next Frank comes, he gets older and we find out that, Tanaka's son has died. Did we ever find out how he died or what happened? He was just dead.
Just died.
Okay, I thought I missed something. I rewinded back, and I just thought I must have missed something because I didn't get that. I didn't even know if he had participated in the Kumite and might have gotten killed. I just didn't know what happened.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but they never explained it. That once again, that's some horrible writing. Like that should have been explained right there. Like what happened. You can't just say that a character is dead and not tell us how he died. You know,
and he's been the main character, kind of.
Right. So Takana is he's upset, and then Frank tells him, well, train me, and I'll carry on your name, because I guess Takana had mentioned that he had another family in, man, was that Japan or was it China?
I think it was Japan.
Yeah, I think it was Japan. That's right, it was Japan. Who and his family died because of the war, World War II. They ended up dying. So he came to America to start a new family, and he wanted to pass on his martial arts training to his son. So when Frank says, "Well, you can train me," he was like, "Well, you're not Takana, so I can't train you." But he eventually does. He says he wants to honor him. Then we get to this training montage. of Frank, and he's not learning anything. Once again, he's getting beat up.
Doing kata and getting beat on by a tatiki stick.
He's getting hit. He's getting stretched out. I know they just doing that just to show us how flexible Jean-Claude Van Damme is, because they just showing him constantly in the splits. And there's one scene where he is in between two trees, and he has a rope on both of his arms and also both of his legs, and he's just getting pulled and yanked, and it looks awfully painful.
Then he raises up.
Yeah, the tree breaks.
Yeah,
the tree breaks, and then he pulls himself up. That was pretty goofy. So then he ends up getting a katana, and then the flashback ends.
Yeah.
So that was a long walk for just a flashback. Flashbacks are normally pretty quick.
It was probably like 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it was. Right. So that was a little interesting. Okay, so Frank goes in and sees his instructor Takana, who's, I don't know if he's on his deathbed or if he just has a cold or sick or if he had a coronavirus. I don't know. I don't know what his deal was, but he was in bed, and Frank comes in and tells him that he is going to Hong Kong to fight in the Kumite. And he wanted to honor him by doing that. Well, Takana didn't have a problem with it. He didn't try and stop him or nothing. No. He didn't say you weren't ready, So anyway, after that, the next scene, we're on the trolley. Frank is on the trolley, and Ray Jackson gets on, and Ray tries to flirt with the passenger. Yeah, she's not giving him any type of attention at all. No. And now it's like scenes are starting to move a little quickly after that, because then right after that, we go to a scene where we see a reporter. We don't get her name at this point. I don't even think I even ever remember even hearing her name. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I'm thinking about it now. Like, I don't really know her name. I don't. Well, anyway.
Wow.
So she's talking to a couple of martial artists in looks like a lobby somewhere.
The Saudis.
Was that them at that time, or was that later on?
I think there's.
Remember these two? She was talking to two guys, and they ended up walking away. They were. But she was trying to get some information about the Kumite.
That's right.
Once again, like this. Once again, this reminds me of Fearless Tiger. It's like, okay, lady. Everybody already know about it. How do you not know more information? How come you can't find out where this event is? If you flew all the way from America to Hong Kong.
And she's at the tournament hotel.
Exactly. So how do you not know, I don't know. That was pretty goofy. But she wanted to know, like, how did they get invited? And I don't know. That was pretty goofy. And then once again, another scene ends. It was weird. After that, we see Ray and Frank. They're playing a video game. What game was that? It looked like Kung Fu.
Karate Champ.
It's called Karate Champ. Okay, because I remember that game from back in the day.
I used to skip school to go play that game at the arcade.
Yeah. It reminded me of a Nintendo game. I thought it was Kung Fu when I saw it, but okay.
You can get it on a PlayStation Store.
Okay, well, I don't have a PlayStation. I need to get one because I worked for PlayStation a couple of years ago, and I don't have a PlayStation. I have the original Xbox.
Oh wow!
Yeah, not the one, the original one. That's right. Yeah, man. I can't play games. I get too frustrated, man. And then this one kid pissed me off because now they try to make you play online and everything. I don't want to play online. I want to play by myself. But one day I decided, all right, let me try this online stuff. So I'm playing online. This kid is talking cash money. I'm like, dude, I don't even want to talk to you. And now you talking. You beat me by 30 already. I'm already feeling bad, So now you go talk. You talking mess? Like, get out of here, Anyway, back to this movie. So, Frank beats Ray, and I guess Ray kind of likes that, that they're playing the video games going back and forth. And he tells them, if you want to see some real fighting, come to the Kumite and see him fighting. He says, well, I'm here. I'm competing in the Kumite also. Boom. Next scene again. So they took 15, 20 minutes with that flashback. And all these other scenes are like 1 or 2 minutes before they go to the next scene. So this is that continuity that was really throwing me off.
Right.
So we see some government agents who, once again, we don't get their names either. But one of the guys is Forrest Whitaker. A young Forrest Whitaker. I don't know who the other guy was. I've seen him in movies before, the other guy, but I don't know his name. They go to the Tanakas looking for Frank. Now, that was dumb because the military already knew Frank was going to Hong Kong. So why did they go to the Tanakas to go look for Frank? That was...
So he probably told them he was going, now that I'm putting it together, that he was going on a leave to see his dying father, and they're like, no, you're really going to go to the Kumite.
Could be. Who knows? I don't know, man. But you know what, man? Somebody can... I'm starting to think a lot of these movies, they can be remade now. They can be remade now and updated and made better than the original version. I really
Who would play Frank Dukes?
That, knowing how Hollywood is now, they would go to whoever's popular in MMA. So they would probably look for whoever is the most popular American MMA fighter, or they might even get Conor to do it if they wanted to.
Yeah. An Irish Bloodsport.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so the next thing, Ray and Frank, they arrive at their hotel. Mm-hmm. Wait a minute. I thought they were already in the hotel playing a video game.
They were.
So then they they go to check in.
They check in.
They go to check in. And they're told that Mr. Lin wants to see them. And then Lin walks up and introduces himself, and he's pretty much there he said he was there for all of the American fighters to show them around, but he was only hanging out with them for the rest of the movie.
To make sure they don't get in trouble.
Right.
And then he introduced himself as part of the International Fighting Arts Association. Now, I know at one time that was a real association.
Oh, yeah?
But it was more towards kickboxing. It wasn't no death kumite thing.
Okay. And then he warns them. He tells them that they can't get into a fight outside of the kumite, or they'll get disqualified fighting outside of the arena, which is understandable. But you're gonna later on when you watch the movie, you'll see why that was important for him to say that, right? Because of the guy's name was Hussein. That they came in contact with. So then they decide to leave the hotel and they go to the arena where the Kumite is taking place. And they're walking through the streets. Then they get to a long hallway. This guy, there was some bouncers or something.
Let's go, USA.
Yeah, they were in front of the entrance. And Lynn speaks to them, and they let them in, and they walked down this long hallway to the arena. Which I don't know, man. It seemed like even though it was hidden, it was still kind of out in the open. And if you wanted to go to the Kumite, you could have went.
Yeah, you could just go down the hall and whatever.
Right. Okay, inside the arena, they see the competitors and the spectators. And then Lynn tells them they have to show their invitations, and then they have to try out and prove that they're worthy, so they don't get killed. Did you pay attention to the ring?
Yeah, it was like
because he called it. I caught this on the second viewing. He called it a runway. He didn't call it a ring. he called it a runway.
Oh,
And
I
then
didn't notice that.
yeah, he called it a runway. And then when you look at it, it wasn't a square. It was more like a rectangle. And it in the finals, we see it elevate or some bends for some weird reason. I don't know. I didn't get the point of that at the end of the movie. But the judges tell Frank that Frank tells the judges that he's representing the Tanakas, and they say that he doesn't look like the Tanaka clan, and they pretty much want him to prove it. Now, what was the name of that technique that he had to do?
That's the Dimmock. The death touch. That's the George Dillman shit.
Man, that was ridiculous, man. That was absolutely ridiculous. And there's no way in hell you can tell me that can happen in real life. I ain't never seen nothing like that.
You never had to do that?
No,
I had to do that for my yellow belt.
Yeah, right. So there was a stack of bricks, and he picked which one was going to break, and I guess Lynn said he was going to pick the top one, but the judges said no. The very, very bottom. So if you can imagine 6 to 8 bricks stacked up on top of each other, the judges tell Frank to break the bottom brick without none of the other bricks breaking. That was ridiculous when I saw that, and he did it. He muscled up, and he huffed and puffed, and he did it. He hit the stack of bricks, and none of the top ones broke, just the bottom one. But it just didn't break.
Palm heel
strike, and it exploded. The bottom brick exploded. I said, "What in the French fried titty fuck was that?" That did not make any sense at all. That was ridiculous. But it impressed everybody. Even Bolo. Oh, his name was Chung Lee in this movie.
Yeah, Kung Lee.
Chung Lee.
Chung Lee.
One of, I don't know.
Hey,
we get it.
We get it right. Don't hit back.
That's right. But Ray Jackson, he was impressed.
Yeah,
when he saw
he was
that.
He was like his Boudini to Ali, man.
Right. He was this hype man. He was getting me hype. Man. He was getting me hype. He was a shining spotlight for this movie because he really did keep me entertained. He acted better than Jean-Claude did. So anyway, that after the bricks explode, they honor his invitation. But not all of the competitors were impressed. So the Arabics, Hussein, he was watching, he was paying attention, and he most definitely didn't seem impressed.
Yeah. But they had that run-in with him, though.
This is before that. That happens a little bit later. That happens a little bit later. Originally, whatever the reporter lady was, when they were at the hotel, she, has but that was a little bit. That was like 2 scenes from now.
Oh, is it? I thought it was first.
I have it written down. No,
I haven't watched it in like 2 weeks.
That was the other 2 guys that she had got into it. Now this guy, they said he was Arabic, and his name was Hussein.
He was Saudi.
Okay.
You can tell by the attire.
Yeah, okay, yes, you're right. You're 100% right. But his face did not look like he was from the Middle East. I thought he was like Asian.
Yeah, me too. Like he could have been Mongolian or something almost.
Yeah. Okay, so the next scene, we see the government agents. They're talking to the local authorities. The inspector. Yes. And they are, he's saying that, that they're looking for Frank, and the U.S. government pretty much doesn't want him to fight in the Kumite. Now, the inspector, obviously, he was playing dumb because he was acting like that he didn't know what they were talking about when he was talking about the Kumite, but then he eventually said that, he'll keep an eye out for Frank. But he seemed really reluctant about that. Okay, next scene. This is where Hussein was harassing a reporter. He wanted her to go upstairs to his room and interview him. He was being really aggressive. He was being really, really, really aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
She slaps him and calls him an asshole. And then he attempts to slap her, and then Frank just so happens to be there and catches his hand. What do you think about that, man? That whole scene.
I wish there was reporters at karate tournaments. No, it is what it is. Nothing. I don't think it's. I think the date, how they end up going on the date, is funnier than this scene. But I like the coin trick. It's like every of these movies. It's like even
the same thing.
Fearless Tiger with Bolo,
yep.
And then now with Hussein in the nickel and change them. It's like you're right. They almost did feel it.
It was almost the exact same thing. So Frank tells Hussein, we're going to be thrown out of the Kumite if we fight. But he said, okay, I'm going to put this coin in your hand. And if I can take the coin out of your hand before you can close it, then I get the girl. But if I can't, then you get the girl. And Hussein agrees. Of course, we knows what happened. Somehow, Frank not only takes the coin, but replaces it with another coin.
Dipped him.
Yeah. That was really eye-rolling for me, man. When I saw that, I was just like, okay, this is pretty corny. But we saw the same, like you said, man, we saw the same thing happen in Fearless Tiger with Lyle and Bolo. He was trying to take the ball out of his hand. I don't know, man. I don't know. Is that have you ever had to do that? Is that a thing?
Yes.
You have?
I've trained with some unique individuals.
Man.
It was like tennis balls, though. And
Okay,
you were standing farther apart,
but
it was just to do like the length speed of like.
You know what, man? I get it, man. I can see you're working on speed. Okay, I get it. But still, man, come on, it's corny. I mean, it's corny.
I'm not paying 100. I'm not. Well, so let's just compare it to 2020. I wouldn't pay $120 a month to play tennis ball grab.
No. Oh man. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so Frank and the reporter are walking and talking. And Frank is flirting a little bit with her. And she wants to know about the Kumite. So she's still on this quest to find out more information about the Kumite.
Then he gets real Mike Gibbs with it.
So then he tells her, we'll talk. He'll talk to her if she agrees to have dinner with him tomorrow night. And I assume that she said yes. We go to the next scene. Next scene, Frank is in his room. He's stretching. He's getting warmed up. It's the next day, and Ray Jackson come in and is telling him that the bus is downstairs. Come on, and he's in the zone. He's just doing his splits on the chair, and he's like practicing his blocks, and he's zoned out in his own world. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Once again, we're showing off his flexibility. That's a thing. Okay.
It's such a key. Now that I'm thinking about it, they highlight it so much. I didn't realize that his flexibility.
Yeah, they did. They did.
That's this is a unique scene though because they kind of go into the history of the Kumite in the next scene.
Okay. What do you mean? You mean just by have the ceremony and?
Yeah, the ceremony. I was intrigued by the ceremony because I'm like, all right, this gives you a little background. At least it's more informative than Fearless Tiger's FOMO.
Man, this okay. So let's get to it, man. This is Kumite Day 1. Okay, the opening ceremony. They're going over the rules. The spectators are betting. One thing, I know you're probably not going to like this, but one thing that I found entertaining about this tournament, it was no forms. It was no forms. This is just a fighting tournament.
I'm all right with it. I just do forms so you don't have to judge.
You know what, man? You know what? Let's get through this. I want to say something about that. I really do, man. Okay, we're almost done with the first half of the movie. So Lynn goes over the rules with them. He tells them there's 3 ways to win. You can knock your opponent out. Your opponent quits by shouting mate. Was it mate?
Mate means stop in Japanese.
That's right. But that's not what they said it meant in the movie, though. They said it's like saying uncle. Right. And then if you knock your opponent off the runway. Okay.
Just like Fearless Tiger.
Right. Just like Fearless Tiger. Okay. So then the first fight happens and somebody wins. And then Ray Jackson, is his turn. He's the second fight. And he gets up and he fights and he knocks his opponent out with a hammer fist.
Hammer fist.
he just
he was getting worked.
Yes. He got worked and I think he got a busted nose and he just ran up and just said, "Ah!" and hammer fist down the head, knocked him out cold. But this is my favorite scene for the whole movie.
Me too.
That's my favorite scene. So he's celebrating, he's happy, and he points at Chung-Li and he just calls him out. And Chung-Li, I mean, the look on Bolo's face was priceless because he looked surprised. And that looked real. Like that's how I would have looked if someone just called me out the blue. I don't know you.
Right.
You're pointing me out. You're calling me out. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? Right. But then, he nods and says, "Oh, okay, all right."
But Kung Lee had to understand that though because he was the defending champion, so he had to expect that some people were coming at him.
Right. Yeah. Well, he most definitely didn't back down when he saw that. I mean, he looked like he was a little surprised at first. No. He looked like he was a little surprised, but then he just said, "Oh, okay, all right, we'll do it." Okay.
I had an experience like that at a local tournament not too long ago.
Really? Mm-hmm. Somebody called. Man, wait a minute. I know what you're talking about. I was there. That was at.
Were you there? Yes.
Yes.
I'm just laying there minding my own business with Chris. We're warming up, laying on the ground.
That was in Plymouth, right?
Yep.
I was there.
Still haven't fought that guy.
Okay, so then, Kung Lee gets up the fight next, or Chung Lee, whatever his name is. He gets up the fight.
You forget a part though.
What's that?
After Ray, because I thought this was intriguing too. So once Ray Jackson gets done fighting and he goes and sits down back in the crowd, and he's got the blood, and he's like, "That's why they call it Bloodsport, kid."
Right. That's right.
There you go.
So then, was it Lynn or Ray Jackson? One of them tells Frank that Chung Lee's the current champ, and he has all of the world titles, all the world records. Lynn tells him that. Okay. And that last year he killed a man. That's what they tell him. Yeah, and then he just watched them die.
Yeah.
You know what, man?
What are you supposed to do?
It's nothing you can do. But the center judge, sweet.
He was a monk.
Chocolate uniform.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of reminded me of Bernard. When I was watching, I kept looking at the movie, and I was like, "Man, who is this guy reminding me of?" And on my second view in the movie, it hit me. I'm like, "That's B. Frost."
That's my guy, man. Don't talk about Frost like that.
I'm not talking about him. He just kind of resembles him.
Frost is going to kill you when he watches Bloodsport. He does not resemble that guy at all.
He reminded me of... He just kind of reminded me of...
Just because he was quiet?
Huh?
Because he was a quiet judge?
B not really quiet. He loses his voice. He'll lose his voice. So that tells me, like, at one point in time, he had his voice, and he was loud with it. And then it goes away. I didn't know that was a thing that happened. I got concerned with him not that long ago. I was at a tournament, and he was a center, and he like lost his voice. And I'm like, oh man, I need to go get him some tea or something, some hot water, lemon. And I think Curtis Butler was like, no, this always happens. He all right.
That's my guy, man. I love that guy.
Okay, so now Frank gets up to fight. He's fighting Hussein, and he beats him quick.
Yeah.
Hussein then jumps back up for some reason, and tries to attack Frank, and then Frank knocks him out. And then he gets the new world record, and that pisses Chung-Li off. He's not happy that he loses his world record, the fastest knockout.
Yeah, you could just tell he was salty.
Right. And then did you see the guy who was, he cleans up the blood. He gets up and he gets in the ring.
Tooth.
Yes, and he grabs the tooth that was in Hussein's mouth, and then he puts it in his mouth.
He was checking to see if it was real. That was real gold.
So then after that, we get to, I guess, the montage of fighters, man. I see the monkey guy again. And, man.
I never noticed it, man. But you're right. That wouldn't fly today.
No. You can't
Drunken
do that.
monkey.
Yeah. Okay, so the next scene, we see the agents, they're eating. The inspector walks up to them and tells them where he can find Frank. That Frank is at
Seems so fucked up.
That particular hotel, and especially now, man. Especially now, man. So they get up, they stop eating whatever it was they were eating, and they give some food to the dog that was sitting there, and they run off to go to the hotel to find Frank.
And the dog wouldn't even eat it.
Yeah, right. Then after that, they were eating that food too. And that should have been something when the inspector says, "No, I don't eat here." You should have known. Okay, stop eating.
Right.
And you should stop eating, and then be done.
Then they come in the hotel with food.
Right. So then they get to the hotel, and they tell Frank that they're there to take him back. He says that he's staying until the Kumite is over, and he'll be at the airport in 2 days. They pull out tasers, big tasers, and say they're gonna take him back now. And then Ray just tackles them, and then Frank runs out. And then this next scene with him running around, it reminded me of a cartoon, man, because he really wasn't trying to escape them. He was running, he would stop, he would put his arm up against a fence, wait for them to get closer, then run again. Yeah, man. He would pose. He was jumping over cars, and I don't know, man. That was really goofy, that part right there. And then they run to like a boating yard where boats are, and he's running across there. And they eventually fall into the water.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty goofy. So that's gonna be that's the end of part 1 of our Bloodsport review. Next week we'll have part 2. So what did you think of part 1, man? I mean, I know how you think of it compared to Fearless Tiger.
I was disappointed after, watching it 15 years or like as a part of my childhood. I just think anything karate was cool to me when I was growing up. So if it was a new movie, it was cool because it was about karate. But looking at it now and how far-fetched it is, I'm just like, man. But it's okay. It has Forrest Whitaker in it.
Yeah. So
I'm more excited about that than Jean-Claude because I forgot Forrest Whitaker was in it until I watched it.
I didn't even know Forrest Whitaker was in it until I was not big, like a growing up man. I really was not big on watching a lot of karate movies. I saw all of Bruce Lee's movies, all of them. There was somebody at our karate school back in the day, who brought in a movie called The Hot, the Cool, and the Vicious, which is pretty cool. I like that. I used to have that VHS tape for a long time. That was pretty cool. And then you saw your commercial karate movies like The Karate Kid, those movies, and The Last Dragon. But other than that, man, every now and then I watch a Steven Seagal movie, but I really wasn't like super into martial arts movies.
Well, there wasn't a lot to pick from.
Not that you wanted to read and watch some of those movies that have subtitles, but that most definitely wasn't gonna pique my interest.
The only
that was
thing really you had were the B-rated movies with like Fearless Tiger, the movies with Mike Bernardo, and Billy was making movies for a minute.
right. Billy Blanks, that's right.
That's the
Uh,
only thing
so
you really had.
so I'm gonna be pretty interested, man. As we go forward, just watching more and more of these martial arts movies and just seeing what I missed growing up. Because there are a lot. I mean, Jackie Chan had movies back in the day, and then of course we might be able to get into some Steven Seagal movies. And man, I'm blanking on my man's name. What was the guy that did the movies with DMX and Aaliyah? Jet Li. Jet Li movie. Yeah, so I'm interested in those movies, getting into those movies also. But this is a question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
About tournaments. I never feel comfortable judging forms tournaments. I mean, forms divisions. Because I feel that the person that's judging the tournament, the division, should be an experienced forms competitor. Now I'm not that. I've not done a form in a tournament since probably when I get my black belt 91, so probably sometime in 90 was the last time I did a form in a tournament. And I teach my students basic forms. But as far as competition forms, I have not started to do that with my kids, my students, just yet. So I think I really think that there should be a way, like in Olympics. Like I really don't think the people who are judging the I don't know, I could be wrong, but I really don't think the people who are judging the balance beam competitions are the same people that's judging the floor routines. I don't know, I could be wrong. But I think that we should have some people who are dedicated forms judges, dedicated fighting judges, dedicated continuous judges.
I wish we were in an environment where our activity is big enough to do that. But just we're not. It's the world we live in. The criteria I hope when I get judges is that they stick to the basics. Speed, power, balance, things like that. And then when you're doing extreme, you do have to play in a little bit of degree of difficulty. And then when you get into musical, when it's in the rules that it has to be choreographed and things like that. I just wish judges would go by the criteria of the forms.
But isn't it kind of hard to do that when you just grab any black belt and bring them to the ring and say, judge the form?
I do. In a perfect world, I wish we just had, we could train judges and certify judges and, keep up on the training and let them. But as black belts, and those are supposed to be the judges, I feel hopefully they came up in a program where they're just not, McDojos, and they understand what speed, power, and balance are, and then are familiar enough with the open forms and the extreme forms, if you will, that they understand, what a degree of difficulty is on a roll or a release or, different aerial maneuvers and things like that. But it's even tricky from a traditional standpoint. I had a judge recently tell me that they marked me down. Now, I didn't ask this judge. They just come up and told me. They marked me down because I leaned back when I threw a front kick. Well, I'm doing a Japanese form, and you're supposed to lean back on that thrust kick. It wasn't a front kick. And he called it a front kick and marked me down. And, I don't complain. I don't even really care about it that much. But I just wish judges judged the same each tournament. And when they say, your basic form one might be different than my basic form one. Your instructor might have taught it wrong, is what they always say. But here I had somebody telling me I'm doing a front kick wrong that wasn't even a front kick. That in the form it's a thrust kick where you lean back. And I like to argue with people, and I would have loved to argue with the gentleman, but it's just like, man, whatever.
But to me, it would just been a front kick. That's all it would have been. I don't know the rules of Japanese forms. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know, man. I just wish our activity was able to get real sponsors for the tournaments. Because if you have real sponsors, that means you have more money. That means you can pay judges to judge. And now, if you're paying judges to judge, now you can have dedicated people. You're just not grabbing Johnny's uncle because he's a black belt also and throwing him in ring 3. You know, you already have a list of people because you're paying them to judge because you have a budget to do that. You know, so I think
as long as MMA's around, we'll never have that.
You just never know, man. It just depends on. At that point in time, man, it kind of depends on your community. So if let's just say that you're in an area that has, if you can make martial arts popular in your community where everybody knows about it and everyone participates or everyone has some type of investment in that martial arts, you might have a doctor's office that might have 3 or 4 kids that goes to your school or whatever. That doctor's office might want to invest in your tournament. And then you have the people down the street that have a laser tag place. That, you know, if it's a community like that where everybody can come together and you're able to reach out to these businesses to be sponsors of your tournament, that's the only way I think that it can, you know, get a little bit better to give you a budget to pay the judges.
I was thinking on a larger scale, like national events, but I agree.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, locally. But then, you know, it's always going to be who do you pay, who do you not pay, and it's just crazy.
That's something you have to do in advance. That's something you have to do in advance. If you tell somebody, I'm going to pay you $100 a day to be a judge, I mean, I think $100 is fair.
Shit,
you know,
I judged my ass off for $100.
I think $100 is fair for a judge. You know. I'm gonna
say this because it's our show, and I'm gonna say what the fuck I want to say.
Go ahead.
People don't like it, don't tune in. Fuck it. I go to tournaments. If I don't like you, I'm not fucking judging. If I don't like the promoter, I'm not fucking judging. Fuck you. Seriously, I'll work. Hey, your uncle's tournament, I work my ass off. Scott Gorham's tournament, I work my ass off. They just had the qualifier, I work my ass off. Certain people, fuck it. I don't want to. It might not even be that promoter. It might be, I just want to watch my kid compete. I just might want to leave early. If Avery or Morgan's not fighting, or Chris, Bernard, fuck it, I'm leaving. After my kid's done.
And yourself also.
Yourself also. But, I mean, fuck.
Yeah, because
I'll say what I want.
Because now that I have a school, man, and I'm going to start having more and more students competing. It's just me. I just got a new assistant instructor to help me teach now. So hopefully we can, once all of this COVID-19 stuff is over, we can get back to normal a little bit. But when we go to tournaments, it's going to be a lot of kids' first tournament. And I'm the only instructor they know. It's not like, 9 or 10 other people that can run over to this ring to help judge. It's just me. So if I'm judging also, my students don't know where to go, who's going to coach them, etc.
Here's the thing. I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been an instructor. I've been a competitor. I've been a parent. I've been a parent again now. The one thing I realize now, like when I had my tournament, I'd be pissed that people would come to my tournament and not judge. But, they say they want to support their students and things like that. And I get so mad. But so now with Kelly and Eddie competing, who know nothing about martial arts. So I take that for granted that I always knew the martial arts and could tell, my son where to go and when to compete. Here's a girl that trains with me, just say we're not living together, but brought her kid to me. This is their first tournament. They don't know when to go, where to go, what to do, how, things like that. They need that black belt there, I feel. They need somebody from the school or a head parent. And I'm not even saying it has to be a black belt, but they need you there. Your students need you. they're going to need your assistant instructor based on how big your school is. So, I understand it. I understand both sides of the fence, but I just judge when the fuck I want to judge. And if I like to promote it.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for this week. If you guys watch Bloodsport, make sure you guys email us at fistkicksflix@gmail.com. Look us up on Twitter also at fistkicksflix. And then let us know what you think of the movie, or if you have some opinions about what we're talking about now with when it comes to tournaments and assisting with the judges. If you think that there should be some type of organized judges reforms in fighting, let us know what you guys thinking, and then we will bring that back up next week when we get to part 2 of Bloodsport. You got anything else, Mike?
No, that's it. Everyone stay safe, stay inside, take care of yourselves.
All right, that's it for us, for Fist Kicks and Flicks. Our producer, Travis Plowden, and Martial Arts Internet Network. We will see you guys later. Peace.